is Shirley, and I'm sober.
And this is Rachel, and I am hungover today.
And this is season 4 of
Yeah.
Podcasa.
Sorry about being hungover. I'll try to be cheerful anyway.
She'll try. She feels like crap.
I'll do it for you guys.
Yep. Alright, so we're just
let's
gonna
dive
get right
in.
into it and do season 4.
Okay.
That's all it is. Alright. So our first episode of this season is The Tooth Fairy's Tats, 2000.
And it aired April 5th, 2000.
Really enthusiastic.
Shut up!
The boys plan to get rich off a scheme involving the Tooth Fairy, which attracts the attention of unusual crime bosses. Meanwhile, Kyle ponders his existence after his parents tell him the truth about the Tooth Fairy.
One thing I noticed is that, like, the first couple episodes are, like, episode of the 2000, like, Tooth Fairy's Tats 2000.
Yeah, and they did that, Matt and Trey did that originally, and then they just kind of stopped it. Because,
Yeah.
This was the millennium. And
That's what I was gonna say. They're like, oh, they're obviously doing it because it's 2000 now. But I thought it was so funny. They just, like, stopped, like, after a little bit. They just
got
they're like,
tired.
oh, this is lame, I guess.
It's like Killing Kenny. They just got tired of it, so they just stopped doing it. And, yeah, they did it because, like, everybody and their mother was doing, like, it's this thing, 2000, just because of the millennium.
Oh, okay.
But it stopped after 4 episodes. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I have kind of a fun fact about this episode. It's, Matt and Trey mentioned in their commentary for this episode that, they had a guest star come in and be the voice of Loogie, who's, like, the mob boss.
Yeah.
And, yeah, halfway through, the episode, like, obviously, they're changing the scripts and doing things at, like, the wee hours of the morning and everything, and they're like, we couldn't get him to come back and record some new dialogue, so it's just Trey halfway through the episode.
That's funny. I loved more evidence of lame Cartman in this one, because he has this whole thing where he's like, tits, and then is it Kyle who keeps yelling at him about it? No, or I don't know. One of them is. They're like, Cartman, stop saying tits.
I like Kyle's plotline.
Oh, me too.
At the end, he just kind of goes into, like, his crazy existential trance, you know, like his little crisis and everything.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I like to think of it as kind of like becoming self-aware, where because he's like, oh my god, what's real? Am I real? Like, he's kind of like figured out that he's not real.
Yeah, it's a cute episode. I love Tooth Fairy Cartman.
Yeah.
Love Tooth Fairy Cartman.
I love when he was being... Yeah, I love when he was being lowered into, like, I think it was Butters' room. And then Butters is like, oh, hello, Mrs. Tooth Fairy. Like, I didn't know you'd be so fat. He's like, hey! Like, eyes is going back out the window.
Oh, yeah, but I don't have too much to say about this episode. It's a funny one.
Yeah, I like this one.
I think this season is where it really picks up for me.
Yeah,
this is how I recognize South Park and everything.
Yeah, the quality of the episodes definitely increased. I agree. I had a really good time watching this season. It was like, it was awful trying to pick a favorite one, but I finally had to.
Yeah, I have so many favorites of in this season. It's a really, really, really good episode. Really good season, sorry. And this is like the first season where they've kind of just gotten in the groove where it's like Trey writes and directs every single episode. Like, he's credited to write and direct. This is the season where he's written every episode.
Okay.
Other people are kind of directing it, but yes, with that, let's move on to episode 2, which is Cartman's Silly Hate Crime 2000.
And it aired April 12th, 2000.
After hitting Token in the head with a rock, Cartman gets arrested after FBI agents claim that he committed a hate crime, since Cartman is a racist. I mean, he is.
I find it kind of ironic that Cartman, like, in this episode, Cartman is called, like, a monster and a racist, like, before it becomes true. Like, all this stuff about Cartman, like, is true later on, it's just not yet. They didn't get him at the right time.
Yeah, he only has, like, up to, like, season 5, he kind of only has his, like, Jew thing.
Yeah.
And he's, like, annoying and does bad things like a kid.
Yeah.
And it isn't until season 5 he becomes, like, literally Satan.
Yeah, it's like...
He's Satan.
The first couple seasons, he's just like a little bastard versus being like fucking psychopath Cartman.
Yeah. And yeah,
I look.
have any fun facts for this episode. I've tried to like accumulate a fun fact for each episode, but it just kind of exists.
Yeah,
it's a good episode though.
Can I tell you that I fucking love the scene where Cartman runs to Kenny's house and they're trying to outrace the cops in Kenny's little toy car.
My favorite line in this whole thing is, Jesus, he's gonna ram!
Yeah!
They're in their little car and
he's like, it barely touches it, yeah. Oh my god, I love that part.
This episode is really funny. Like, it's like a long streak of really funny episodes. There aren't too many episodes in this season where I'm like, oh, I didn't like that.
I love I also love the part where, like, Stan and Kyle visit Cartman in prison, and then they have to watch him, like, shove all the cigarettes up his ass. And then Stan goes, like, wow, I really wish I hadn't just sat here and watched that. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, because hearing Cartman push things in and out of his ass was, like, funny, but, like, really excruciating. Like, it was,
But it's kind of funny. It's so tame. So tame compared to, like, what we've seen now.
True, you're right.
Like, yeah, but... Yeah, I think this episode is super funny. It's got, like, a lot of great jokes. It's their first rip on, Phil Collins.
Yeah!
The Oscar, which the next episode is really ripping on it, but they have the Phil Collins hill and everything.
Yeah.
And I love the little girl character in this. She's never appeared ever since, like, this episode.
Oh, the little Kenny one?
The little girl with the hoodie and everything. She's just like, see you later, donut punchers.
Yeah.
And fudge packers. Like,
she was savage.
I gotta use those. Those are pretty good.
I totally forgot about the whole sled racing plot.
It's not as funny as...
Yeah, because I was more focused on Cartman in prison.
But yeah, ready to move on?
I am.
Let's do... Okay, here we have Timmy 2000.
Aired April 19th, 2000.
Alright, all the kids in South Park are mistakenly diagnosed with attention deficit disorder after the new mentally handicapped student, Timmy, is misdiagnosed himself. Meanwhile, Timmy joins Skylar's rock band and Phil Collins plots to separate them.
Alrighty.
Oh wait, going back. This is Timmy's, like, second appearance, and when he starts becoming, like, a main character. First time Timmy appeared was in Tooth Fairy's Tats. In the first episode of this season. I forgot about that. So, this is when Timmy starts to become, like a reoccurring character.
Okay. Alright, yeah. This is the Timmy episode. And you were right, this episode meant to rip on Phil Collins a lot. And I thought it was so funny, because watching it, I knew that it was, like, right after they lost him to him for the Oscar, and, like, they're so petty. I mean, I don't know, it just made me laugh.
They really are. They're just kind of whiny babies. They're a little sore losers, but, it was still funny.
Right.
It was still really funny, them hating on Phil Collins.
I know.
And
they did a good job making fun of him.
The best part of this episode doesn't have anything to do with Kenny or Timmy or like Skylar or anything. It's basically the Christina Aguilera monsters.
Oh yeah.
That's the highlight of this episode for me. Are the Christina Aguilera monsters, like, just kind of coming in and just, like, going meh and walking on.
And Carmen's like, oh my god. This is a good episode too in regards to, like, the moral of it. I liked how it kind of mocks how quickly, like, parents and doctors are to diagnose their children with disorders just to get out of dealing with them. And it's, like, still totally relevant. It's still totally relevant today, like, 16 years later, so.
Oh yeah, see, I work I worked in a daycare for a year, and there are so many kids who just were never disciplined and got whatever they wanted, and you could tell the difference between the kids who actually had, you know, certain disorders and those who were just little shits.
Yeah.
And the parents would always try and excuse him and be like, oh, well, I've never had him diagnosed, but I think he has, like, ADHD. I'm like, no, you're just a shitty parent.
Yeah, right. For real.
Study your kid. I love the sit down and study scene, where it's like the video.
Oh.
Bam, sit down and study. And sit down and be quiet, or I'll pop you in the mouth again. I'm like, that's it.
That's Shirley at her daycare.
Yeah, I wish. There are a lot of kids that needed to be popped in the mouth, but I was legally not allowed to do it.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, with that, no, I agree with the morals in this one. The silly hate crime one, that's like one of the instances where I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah, same.
But at the same time, I'm like, you know what, okay.
I mean, I get what they were going for. They're like, oh, we should all be equal. But at the same time, like, we're not equal. It's not, that's just not how things are.
Hate crime is a hate crime for a reason. But
Yeah.
it's still one of the examples where it's like, I don't even have to agree with what Matt and Trey say to find an episode funny or enjoyable. Like,
or to at least understand where they're coming from.
But Timmy 2000 is definitely an episode that I'm like, yes, I agree with this wholeheartedly. Holy crap. Alright, so we'll move on to Quintuplets 2000.
Alright, aired April 26, 2000.
Stan's family take in a grandmother and her quintuplet granddaughters from Romania, who are on the run from American and Romanian government. Meanwhile, Kenny practices opera singing, and he eventually becomes famous in Eastern Europe.
I love that storyline, Kenny's opera career.
That's my sister's favorite thing, too. She absolutely loves Kenny. That's her favorite character, and she loves this episode just for that reason. She doesn't care about anything else.
That's right. I love the scene where Grandpa Marsh fucks the old lady to death.
Yep, that's the winner.
And he's like making all these jokes afterward, like, oh, I bet she'll be tired in the morning, and then Randy's like, she's dead, Dad.
It's pretty funny. But yeah, this is also, I think, fun fact about this episode, I think this is like the first real instance in where like the show was like, oh my gosh, it's super topical. Like it was an event, you know, with the whole Janet Reno thing and everything. Like that had just happened, and that was the first instance where people were like, oh my gosh, like that just happened. How did they?
Yeah.
You know, that's super cool. But yeah.
And then another thing I liked was the quote talking about America, about how American people have it so good, and they like that they get bored, and when people get bored, they start protesting things. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it was a good episode. So far from the episodes we've talked about, I've liked all of them. That'll change, but it's like they had a good streak of episodes, and that was the last. That was the last of the whole 2000.
Yeah, well,
they just got tired of it. They just stopped doing it. So yeah, with that, we're going to move on to Cartman joins NAMBLA.
Aired June 21st, 2000.
Cartman's search for mature friends lands him as the poster child for NAMBLA. Meanwhile, Kenny tries to prevent his parents from planning to have a child. We actually have a special guest star for this episode. This is my sister Catherine. And
hi, Catherine.
She has something to say about this episode.
Hi. This is my favorite episode from season 4.
It's a good season.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you for that, Catherine. That was great.
She likes this episode.
Me too.
That's about all I have to say for that episode.
Really? I have a shit ton to say.
I'm kidding. It's so funny. Fun fact about this episode, NAMBLA is a real thing. Like
oh
the
my god. I know.
National American Man-Boy Love Association is a real thing. And, yeah, people thought Matt and Trey made it up, or they're like, no, it exists.
Wow.
It's real. It's sad that it's real. It's not a fun fact.
I know.
It's a fact, but...
Something I thought that was funny was like the beginning when they're all playing that board game or whatever, and then Cartman gives Kyle AIDS in the game, and I was like, oh my god, foreshadowing, because I like immediately thought of Cartman giving Kyle AIDS in that one episode.
Yeah.
Even though they obviously didn't plan that, because that was like 10 seasons later, but...
I can't, I'm kind of stuck between this and a few other episodes for my favorite, but this is definitely one of my favorites from this season.
Me too.
My favorite line, and one of my favorite lines from any South Park episode is, oh, here's a message from Hung Daddy. I'm 8.5 inches. Sorry, I don't hang out with midgets.
Yeah. Or, yeah, I don't like hanging out with midgets. Midgets piss me off.
That's my favorite line. Oh my gosh, such a good line. But it's just an all-around super funny episode.
Yeah, and I loved how like eventually like Stan and Kyle like didn't care about the NAMBLA thing, but then Cartman was like making fun of them, so they had to like join it. And I love how they compete with Cartman, like no matter what stupid thing he's doing, they just have to like be better than him.
Exactly. Like also this is also like when Mr. Garrison gets arrested.
Oh yeah.
Sex. Like we all knew Mr. Garrison was messed up, but this is like
I know.
really? Wow.
That scene was so funny. He's like, Eric, and he's like, Mr. Garrison, you know my friend?
But, and my sister's favorite part of this episode, I know when she's watching this episode because I'll hear her laughing so hard at the one scene at the end with, like, the French song of this, like, chase scene in the hallway.
Yeah, like the Scooby-Doo scene.
Like, that's her favorite thing in the world. It's pretty funny, but...
And then there's this good scene at the end where Stan and Kyle kind of rightfully ostracize the NAMBLA member who's trying to do the I learned something today by responding like, dude, you have sex with children. Fuck you.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we believe in gay rights and everything, but fuck you guys. You guys are assholes.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, and there's also, like, Kenny's parents having a child and everything, and it's kind of weird. It makes me think, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is where they have Karen. I'm like, wait, no, it's not. They just have Kenny again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just give birth to Kenny again. But I'm like, then where did Karen come from?
Yeah, because Karen hasn't been in the first couple of seasons.
Like, she shows up in, like, season 7 or 8 or something. Mm-hmm. And, like, I'm like, oh, I always thought until I rewatched this episode, I'm like, oh, this is where Karen's born. I'm like, wait, no. Where did she come from then? Like,
I don't know, maybe she's adopted.
Birth to a, 5-year-old.
Right.
But, yeah, and the scenes with Stuart and Kenny.
Oh my god,
the John Denver experience, my dad laughs his ass off every time he watches that scene. But, yeah, just a super funny episode. This is probably...
Yes, I love this one.
It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Alright,
we'll
let's
move
go on
to another really good episode, Cherokee Hair Tampons.
Aired June 28th, 2000.
Stan must get Cartman to donate one of his kidneys to save Kyle's life, while everyone in town is addicted to New Age medicine run by an old woman and her Native American co-workers. Meanwhile, Mr. Garrison becomes a romance novelist after getting fired from teaching for his incompetence and his actions in the previous episode.
One of my favorite Mr. Garrison gags is during the first couple seasons when he's trying to overcompensate for being gay, and he's always bragging about poontang. It's so obviously not true that it just kills me.
I love it, and I love it when they break it to him, where it's just like, sir, we wouldn't consider this a romance novel. We have a word for your kind of novel in the business, gay. But this episode is mostly known for having Cheech and Chong guest star, and this was like their first time in years where they did something together.
Oh wow!
Like when Matt and Trey asked both of them separately to do it, they're like, oh yeah, but Cheech won't do it, or like, oh yeah, Chong won't do it. But they both came together for the first time in years, and did this episode together.
South Park,
and it paid off because they're super funny.
Yeah, South Park brings people together.
For real.
All right, so I always think of this episode of the one about the super best friends, even though that's not where they got their title, but that's Stan and Kyle being super cute best friends together, and I just love it because I love the whole scene where Stan's like, I'll give Kyle my kidney even if it hurts a whole lot, I don't care. And I'm like, oh my god, Stan is so pure.
That's so adorable. They were so pure and innocent in the early seasons.
I know.
And they just get corrupted like we do, you know.
And I love the scene where Stan brings Kyle over to Cartman's house, and he's like, Cartman, will you? No. And he sings.
I had that as my ringtone for a while. I forgot about that. But my favorite scene is it's so short. I'm weird because I always love the tiny little jokes that have nothing to do with the story at all, and it's when they step on Cartman's pigs, like,
oh, yeah.
or something. He starts freaking out, and they're like, crap, we woke up Cartman. He starts walking out, and he just smacks the pig and just goes, shut up, Fluffy!
Like, sleepwalking.
That's my favorite part.
Cartman was such, like, a delightful little asshole in this episode. Like, because he was, like, I think he might have been at his not at his worst so far, but he was so funny about it that I just couldn't be mad, so I was like...
But yeah. Oh, and the whole thing about milk coming out of his nose.
Yeah.
Where it's like, ha, you got the bad kidney.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the part at the beginning where, like, he's like, oh, yeah, you know how when you laugh so hard, milk comes out of your nose? And then Stan's like, yeah, we have to be drinking milk for that to happen. It's like, not with me.
Not with me, But just a super funny episode. I really like this one. It has one of those weird live action things.
Oh, the commercial.
Yeah, the weird live action Cherokee hair tampons and everything. Which...
I love the part in the commercial where after she uses it, she, like, throws it to the dog to use it. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh.
That's weird. I'm trying to think. I feel like this is the last time they did it in a long time. No, wait, they did it in Towley. They did that in Towley, but, like, this is still when they would, like, every once in a while, they would do weird, like, live action things for no reason.
That's so funny. Like, they probably waste so much time doing that. It's like, why?
I know. Like, you gotta hire people, you've gotta, like, get a set, and...
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and even themselves, they joke about it, like, why do we do that? Like,
right?
we build these. But, yeah, I'm ready to move on. How about you?
Yeah. The only thing I have to say besides that is just that I like the whole thing where Kenny's, like, getting pissed at Stan, because Stan's all sad about Kyle dying, and then Kenny's like, no one even cares when I die. And he's super salty about it.
Foreshadowing for the Mysterion thing, they don't believe him.
Alright, so let's go on.
Alright, Chef Goes Nanners.
Aired July 5th, 2000.
Chef protests against the racist imagery on the South Park flag. Meanwhile, Wendy freaks out when she begins to have a crush on Cartman.
I loved Wendy's fucking, like, romance novel Dream About Cartman. Where he's like riding a horse and he has, like, long blonde hair.
It makes me sick. Like, her screaming at the end of the dream is me. I'm like, no! Cartman deserves nothing.
Literally, like, he deserves no happiness ever. And then,
yeah.
I love my favorite, sorry, I'm like blabbering over here. One of my favorite storylines
That's what you get.
is the one where Jimbo and Ned are, like, smart enough to know that having the KKK on your side is bad, so they have to, like, go undercover and like, make them switch sides. And then Chef sees them in their KKK outfits when he's driving home.
I love the what's underneath my,
yeah.
underneath my robe. And, like, just showing the KKK as super total dorks.
I know. And I love the beginning where Chef's like, Mr. Garrison, you're in the KKK. And he's like, no, I'm not an asshole. Mr. Haddit.
You're a racist son of a bitch, Mr. Haddit. And I also love how they chant, like, white power and everything, but at the same time, they chant stuff like, hot shower, hot shower.
I know.
That always makes me laugh. I love it when they're, they're goofy.
I know.
But, I'm trying to think more about this episode.
The only other thing I had that I really loved was, like, both Cartman and Stan's reaction to Wendy kissing Cartman at the end. Because Cartman's all, like, kind of blushing and, like, oh, like, really, like, abashed and stuff, and then Stan's, like, so shocked and, like, horrified, and he just, like, doesn't move from that for the rest of the episode.
I love how, Cartman it shows, like, Cartman's, like, all bummed and everything, because he's just like, oh, I'm so glad I got out of that out of my system. I don't like you at all. And he's just like, oh, okay. Like, he's really bummed about it. Like, normally you think Cartman probably wouldn't care.
I know. I, like, almost felt bad for Cartman, but then I remember it was Cartman. I was like...
And also, I like the, it's cool how this episode, like, still really applies to, like, recent events and everything with the whole, South Carolina flag and or the Confederate flag and all that mess. That it's like, it's still relevant. This episode is, like, extremely relevant now, probably more so than it was back then.
I thought Chef was super funny in this episode. I love the part where he's talking about like monks burning themselves to death. He's like, and that's what I want to do, and then he like lights the monk on fire. And then I also love the part at the beginning where Chef's like, you need to change the flag, and then the mayor like unveils the flag, which is like white people hanging a black guy, and she's like, what's wrong with it? And he's like, are you kidding? Oh, I love Chef.
I like the thing where it's like Stan and Kyle don't realize that it's like killing people, but at the same time I'm like, okay, how can you not realize that?
I know.
That's pretty racist. Even when I was little, like it kind of
You're like, oh shit.
like cute point that they're trying to make, and then it's not a wrong point and everything. They did it for a reason, but like
one of the I think
that would not happen.
Mm-hmm. I think the only thing that I didn't, I guess agree with is the part where Chef's like, oh, I was like so upset about being racist that I like almost became racist myself, and because he was like calling them like crackers a lot throughout the episode. I'm like, Chef being pissed about this and calling them crackers is not him being racist, like at all.
Not even close. So that was a bit of a stretch, but the rest of the episode was okay.
All right, 21.
Yeah. Next, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorites. Something you can do with your finger.
Aired July 12th, 2000.
Cartman roped Stan, Kyle, and Kenny into creating a boy band, Finger Bang, in the quest to get Cherokee. Wendy joins the band and poses as a boy. Meanwhile, Stan's father, Randy, tries to prevent Stan from joining because Randy was once in a boy band and his career ended badly.
One of my favorite scenes of this episode is the one at the very beginning when Cartman's like waking up from the dream and he's like, yes, I'm a star. And he wakes up, he's like, I'm nobody again. That's like me every day.
Oh my gosh, I really love this episode. I love the Finger Bang song.
Me too.
Like, I love it when he goes into like Cartman goes into his own little bridge. He's like, yeah, girl, you know it.
Yeah, and he like pulls his shirt down so we can see the nipple.
Girl. Oh man, it was so funny.
This is kind of a I don't know. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say this is like Cartman's first scheme to make $10 million because that's kind of a theme throughout the season. But he did want $10 million for Kyle's kidney in that one episode, so I guess that was technically the first one.
Yeah, and I think he wanted the money in the Quintuplets episode.
Oh yeah, you could be right.
Instead of the $10 million thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then I loved Wendy's song, her audition song.
I know the whole song.
Mm-hmm. That was great. And I thought it was kind of weird how I didn't know why Cartman didn't want her to join. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because she's a girl, I guess. That makes sense, but like he seemed kind of like really against it. So I'm like, maybe he's like still pissed off at her from the last episode. Yeah, he's like lovesick over it.
I love Ike's little audition and everything. He sings like the ABCs and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and then just goes into Danny Boy.
I know. I think Cartman's like next, not next song, next audition.
And then he just flips him off. That's like my favorite thing. I love sassy Ike. I love Ike.
Me too.
One of my favorites. This episode is just all around super funny. Like,
Oh, I think I talked to you about this before. How there's this kind of meta scene in this episode where they're picking out the outfits, and Kyle's like, I want to be the tough one, and then Cartman and all the fans are both like, no, Kyle, you're the sweet one. Because like, I feel like fans always want Kyle to be like the super sweet, like adorable one, and he's not at all. So like, what are you guys doing?
Not, he's angry. He's an angry little man.
He's totally the tough one. Like,
he's definitely the tough one. He's adorable.
Yeah.
But this episode's just so funny to me. Because I love the song. Every single time they sing the song, I just start laughing.
Yeah, me too.
It's like what does finger bang even mean? Oh, I think it's when you just put your fingers into a shape of a gun.
Yeah, and Kenny's like, no, it's not.
Nope. Poor Kenny.
I freaking love Kenny. He always knows. Oh, and then we had like a Lord origin story. Not really, but like it was Randy has past experience with being a famous singer.
But this is when Randy was like tastefully used, right?
Yeah. My favorite like exchange in the whole episode is when he's driving Stan back from the mall or whatever, and he's like, have you ever tried marijuana? No. Well, maybe it's time. Dad!
Super funny episode. It's one of my favorites of the season.
Yeah, me too. I like this one.
Here we go on to the first part of the two-parter in this season. Do the Handicapped go to hell?
Aired July 19th, 2000.
Part 1 of 2. The boys question whether Handicapped, Timmy, or Jews like Ike and Kyle go to heaven, while Saddam Hussein returns to hell, leaving an awkward reunion with Satan. That's the best part of these
Oh,
episodes.
yeah.
Definitely, anytime Satan is in an episode,
I love
especially
Satan.
Saddam Hussein, I love it. Because I just... I love Saddam's, like, little voice and everything. He's just like, this is getting hot!
Yeah.
Well, where was I gonna go? Detroit? Like...
Oh, yeah, I love that whole joke.
And, like, Satan, I just kind of want to protect him, almost.
I know. I love that they, like, brought this movie subplot back for, like, they didn't just drop it, because it's so
like
funny.
A cliche and everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the abusive boyfriend cliche in movies and everything. I'm like, oh, Satan, you deserve better.
I know, even though you're Satan.
Really feeling this way about literally Satan. Like,
Yeah. And I don't know.
You have a weird show when you sympathize more with actual Satan than you do with a kid, you know?
Right? Then you do,
Like
like,
Cartman.
yeah. Was it this episode where, Satan talks to God about it, or is it the next one?
I think it's the next one.
Or I'll wait then. Alright, I have this totally, like, kind of stupid, but, like, I thought it was cute, like, observation while I was watching this. It was, like, the very beginning where they're all in church, and it's like Stan and his parents and Kenny, and then, like, Cartman and his mom in the back, and I noticed that, like, Kenny's family isn't there, so I'm like, do the Marshes take Kenny to church every Sunday? Because if they do, that is adorable, and I love it.
Yeah, but, I don't have too much to say about, like, the whole church part. Like, it's a funny story and everything, but I think the subplot with Satan and Saddam Hussein is just so much funnier.
Yeah, yeah.
It has, and it also has Dian Bakar in it. He plays the...
Oh,
boyfriend.
yeah.
So this was before, I'm pretty sure this was the last instance where he was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, like, right before they're falling out.
Yeah,
I guess.
this was, like, the first time that he, like, did a voice, where I could totally tell it was him. Like, as soon as the Chris guy started talking, I was like, oh, it's Squeak.
It's Dan, you know. It was also the fake Mr. Hanky in
okay.
the Merry Christmas Charlie Manson, but I'm pretty sure, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the last time he was ever in a South Park episode. So, fun little fact for you.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say about the whole church thing is the kind of comments on how religion often scares people into believing stuff.
Yeah,
And that's really, like, all I have to say.
rather than faith. It's
I mean, you
just
can tell what they're doing there, but I think you're right, the Satan one thing is way funnier.
Oh, and Anne Garofino plays the sister, the nun.
Oh, really?
Everything, which is pretty cool. So yeah, since Anne Garofino, they're basically their mom, the mom of the studio.
Right? I love
keeps
her.
them safe. She's Catholic, and they go to her all the time, and they kind of rip on her for being Catholic sometimes, but she's so used to it. And yeah, so with that, we'll move on to the second part, which is probably.
Okay, aired July 26, 2000.
Conclusion. Cartman and the boys start their own church against the wishes of their parents. Meanwhile, Satan must choose between his two lovers.
Alright. I love the whole reveal. No, okay, so this is the one where he talks to God, right?
I think so.
I love the whole scene at the end where he's like, hey, do you want to give me advice? And then God's like, why is it your pussy now?
I like the whole dynamic. I love all the religious characters, like, in the show. I love Jesus and Satan and God, like, all interacting.
I know, they're all so funny together.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say about this. This is, like, I think this is, like, their first real, like, two-part episode where it's, like, one right after the other.
Yeah.
Like, Cartman's Mom is a Dirty Slut was kind of a two-part.
Yeah.
I bet I'm missing one.
You're missing, like, the 3-parter in season 3, but...
That's right, yeah, 3-parter. This is, like, the first 2-parter.
Right. Well, I love the reveal at the end where you find out that Cartman was just faking everything just to get the $10 million. And we probably should have seen that coming, but I don't know, Cartman was, like, super believable, you know? It was kind of like, I really thought that he was, like, afraid and trying to help people, and it was like, oh, wow. Cartman's good at this, manipulating people thing.
After this, I just learned not to trust him, ever. Ever. I don't believe a single word that he says anymore.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I actually have a fun fact. Me instead of you.
Oh.
Okay. Basically,
Stealing my job.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that, like, the whole subplot in these 2 episodes where, like, they're so afraid to go to hell, and they're paranoid all the time, and every time they do something bad, they're, like, running to church to go confess their sins. And I remember, like, learning in history, like, that's how a lot of people lived, like, in the Middle Ages, because, like, religion was, like, a super big thing for a long time before the Renaissance. And then people...
It was a super big thing.
Yeah, well, okay, but, like, shut up, but it was, like, no, but people were, like that all the time. Like, religion was, like, everything that there was, and it was just, the only thing they were concerned with was not going to hell, and, like, going to church, and blah, 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 and that was just, I don't know, I was watching this episode and, like, thinking about learning about that, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a good, religious satire, and little message. I think all these episodes are, like, very clear with what those with messages are very clear with their morals. So, yeah, we're going to go on to the 4th grade.
Aired November 8th, 2000.
The boys enter 4th grade and build a time machine to go back to the 3rd grade. Meanwhile, the 4th grade teacher, Miss Chokeson-Dick, seeks help in controlling students from Mr. Garrison, who is now a hermit and won't come to terms with his homosexuality. This is his coming out episode.
Oh, yay. I love the whole reveal where it's like her name is Miss Chokeson-Dick, but the kids like are trying to make fun of her and they're like, oh, Miss makes me sick. I'm like, really? You wouldn't call her Miss Chokeson-Dick? That's not what you would make fun of.
Like, you know very well it's Miss Chokeson-Dick. They don't even like try and hide it. Like, they don't even. It's just literally just chokes on dick.
I know.
Like, they don't even try and put like a little inflection on it so it sounds kind of like chokes on dick. Nope, it's just chokes on dick.
And I love how Mr. Garrison has like become an urban legend in South Park. And the whole thing was like, they're like, if you listen, yeah, if you listen closely, you can still hear him.
Oh my gosh, I love the scene. I really like Miss Chokes on Dick's character because I think she's like super funny. But the scene where she's like, she's trying to talk to like the principal, Mr. Mackey, and Chef, and everything.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like mesmerized by her huge tits.
And then the cats are there, like playing with them.
Yeah, and and she raises her arms, and like you can see a little bit of her nipple poking.
And they're
out.
like, oh shit.
I have the same reaction. Like I'm like, oh gosh.
Like why?
Like I know it's coming, but I still cringe every time.
Alright. I love this. Well, I like this episode a lot, and I kind of noticed how this episode's message connects with the current season, which is season 20's message about romanticizing the past, because season 20 is airing right now. So I kind of noticed that, and how they talked about how you can't go back to the past, you just have to move forward. And I loved how the boys know that they're like 3rd grade wasn't even that great, Cartman. Like, why'd you make us think it was?
You asshole! You made us think 3rd grade was really cool. I really liked. I liked the 3rd grade song that Cartman.
Yeah.
And Clyde just starts crying.
Just starts bawling at the end. I love Clyde.
At the beginning of him just becoming a crybaby. Clyde is always crying.
That's his reputation.
Just start crying. Yeah, I don't have too much to say. I know this episode was like super promoted. Like this, like they're moving up to the 4th grade, everybody, and then they just kind of stopped moving them up. They stopped aging the characters. They don't do anything anymore. Like they're the oldest 4th graders alive.
I know. It's so weird though, because I always think of them as 4th grade, and it's like super weird to think that like the first couple of seasons they were in 3rd grade. Actually, I don't know why I'm like so committed to them being in 4th grade.
Like if they aged along with us, they're like older than we are, and that's weird to think about.
They would be 38 right this year, because
Oh my
1997 they were 8.
That's so gross.
Wait, is that right?
I don't know.
No, it's 28. They'd be 28. I can't do math.
Notice how I didn't even realize.
Yeah, you.
I'm really bad at math.
This is me too. This isn't a math podcast.
Okay. And we're gonna go on to episode 12, which probably no, it's not my least favorite. It's not my least favorite, but it's up there or down there. And it's Trapper Keeper.
Aired November 15th, 2000.
A man from the future wants Cartman's new trapper keeper. Meanwhile, Mr. Garrison's kindergarten class holds an election for class president with confusing results in the voting.
Oh, that storyline's so funny.
That's the one I care about.
What?
That's really I could give less of a crap about the trapper keeper part.
Yeah, I love the whole kindergarten thing. That was so funny.
I know this is like Cartman at the end and everything, the scene with Kyle like trying to destroy Cartman from the inside. But it's like a parody of, I don't remember the name of the movie now, but like the villain is Hal and it's a supercomputer and everything. And it's just
okay. Yeah, I can tell that this episode was very science fiction-y, so I'm not surprised that it was like a parody of some movie.
Yeah. A movie that's a lot older than we are, apparently.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I kind of like the Dawson's Creek. Like,
I know, it's so 90s.
Trapper Keeper, like, it's the weirdest, it's one of the weird episodes, you know, where it's not, like, super funny as much as it is, like, that's weird. You know?
Because Cartman was so petty with Kyle this episode. I thought that was really funny. And I love the whole scene at the beginning where Kyle's, like, showing off his trapper keeper to Stan. And then Cartman comes in and he, like, has a better one and he's, like, explaining everything. He's like, I have a better Dawson's Creek picture than Kyle has.
He's just a little bastard.
I know.
But yeah, I don't have to.
Alright, let's go on.
It's not my favorite.
This episode was alright.
I actually don't really like this episode because I like episodes that are super just like, I just laugh the whole time.
Yeah.
And this most of the time I was just like, what the fuck is this? But I love the kindergartner stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I love the kindergartner stuff with like Mr. Garrison just trying so hard to reach like the little kindergarten.
I know. And I love the whole joke where they can't tell Rosie O'Donnell and the huge trapper keeper thing apart.
Next episode is another really, really good one. I have a special place in my heart for this episode. Helen Keller, the musical.
Aired November 22nd, 2000.
Timmy attempts to find a live turkey for the Thanksgiving play. And my little fun fact about this episode is that originally, instead of a turkey, Timmy was gonna find like a little, just like retarded dog, like just a totally messed up dog, like a little puppy, and they're like, it just got too sad. It got
no.
a little puppy, so we just nixed the puppy and did a
just
turkey.
do an animal that no one cares about.
Exactly.
Alright, okay. One kind of stupid thing I noticed was that, like, how in plays and stuff in the past, it's usually, like, Mr. Garrison who directs it. And then, but this time it's, like, Cartman does it. So I'm like, how did Cartman get to direct this play? Like, why would anybody let him be in charge of this? Like, I know for plot reasons they had to have him be in charge, but I'm like, this is unrealistic.
I feel like he wrote pretty good music, though.
He did, yeah.
Oh my gosh, but speaking of the music, this is, like, a personal connection to the story. One of my best friends, he's a drag queen. He performs as a drag queen, and he writes his own mixes that he lip syncs to. And he has a Helen Keller mix where it's like, I saw the sign, and like, just ironic things and everything. And he has his glasses on, and his drag name is Brenda Sugarbaker. So I don't know, no one yet will probably know that, but he has like snippets of the water, Helen, water. Water, Helen, water. Like, he has that in his mix, and I laugh every time I hear it. Like, it's really funny. He uses South Park a lot in his mixes.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes is the part where, like, Cartman's trying to, I don't remember what he's doing, but he's trying to do some technique so we can write better songs. And then you see, like, all the stuff that's in Cartman's brain, like, people burning, and Nazis, and, like, rats eating each other, and he's like, oh, no, it's just same old stuff I always see.
Like, that's the first snippet of evil Cartman, I guess.
Right.
Like, not just a little bastard Cartman, like, that's Satan Cartman.
Yeah.
But super funny episode. I think it's, like, adorable with Timmy and his, like, the scene where he's asleep, and, like, Gobbles kind of, like, nudges and, like, curls up next to him to sleep. Like, that's super
yeah.
Like, they managed to make it funny and adorable at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And I love that how Butters is, like, so easily impressed and, like, so dumb. And he, like, hypes up the kindergarten play and, like, causes all this drama.
To me, I love hearing, like, the little kindergartners play, because I love to imagine, like, I do this a lot. I always imagine how they record everything and how fun it is to record some certain things. Like, I'm just imagining, like, all these little kids, like, in their recording booth for freaking South Park. Like, one of the dirtiest shows ever. Like, this huge group of little kids just singing a little song for a show that they can't even watch.
Right.
But yeah, ready to move on?
I am.
Alright, here is probably my least favorite episode of... I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch it because I didn't like it. So.
Yeah, you asshole. Why didn't you tell me we didn't have to watch it?
This is Pip/Great Expectations.
Aired November 29th, 2000. So, I always take notes when I watch episodes, but for this one, I kind of just, I was gonna write, like, the worst episode ever, and then just move on. But I actually did have stuff to say, so.
I did. Like, this is like, a totally unique, I will say it's unique. Doesn't mean it's good. It's a unique episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard somewhere, I don't know if it's true or not, but, I read in, like, a facts list or something that, Matt and Trey themselves don't like this episode.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So, it's not aired, really. It's really,
Really?
like,
That would be me if I had to show, like, this episode sucks, never air it.
well, we still do the podcast, and they suck. Yeah, we show them.
Okay, yeah, true.
We still make them.
Okay, our podcast isn't as bad as this episode, though.
That's true. I'm not going to cut ourselves short. Like, that's pretty mean to say it's worse than this. But it's not the worst episode. I mean, for Pip fans, which I don't get.
Yeah, I think Pip's the worst.
It sucks. Pip sucks, and you suck if you like Pip. I'm kidding, but you do.
Alright, so this episode was a parody of Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. And I love
It isn't even like a parody. It's just literally Great Expectations.
Yeah, like South Park version. I love the British guy, like, narrating it, and he's like, hello, I'm a British person. That always makes me laugh.
See, I want to know how they thought to make this episode, and they're just like, what book did we all have to read in 9th grade?
I've actually never read this book.
Well, I had to read Tale of Two Cities, so...
Oh, I never read that either.
The Dickens book, so... Well, I was in the advanced class, so you probably wouldn't get it.
Oh, wow, you asshole. Alright, let's continue on with Pip. One of the only things I enjoyed in this episode was Estella. I thought she was really, really funny, and she had, like, the most creative insults that I thought were hilarious. I don't have any examples, but...
Killing all the baby bunnies and
Oh,
everything.
yeah!
It's like, 23 baby bunnies!
Yeah! She's a fucking savage.
But yeah,
Alright, let's go
probably
on.
my least favorite.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this one anymore.
I'm ready to move on. At least we get a really good episode after it, which is
Yes.
Atkins.
This is a good one. Wait, so
Read
what...
the date, stupid.
Oh, shit. Oops. Sorry. December 6th, 2000 was when it aired.
Cartman is sent to a weight loss camp. Meanwhile, Kenny becomes famous for doing disgusting and shocking things for money.
This kind of brought up an interesting question, like, does Kenny count as a prostitute? Like, I guess technically in the definition he does, but, like, does that only count as sexual stuff? Although he did give that guy a blowjob at the end of the episode.
Yeah, so he is a prostitute.
Okay.
Kenny's a whore, though. Kenny
Yeah,
is
he
just
totally
a whore.
is. Totally
He's
is.
such a whore. But, yeah, it's basically just a rip on Jackass and everything, because they had Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
All that in there, and it's like, you really think about it, it's like, wow, they really are getting paid to do things anybody can do. It's not really talent, they're just extremely stupid.
Yeah, and they're willing to get hurt, I guess.
Exactly. They have a willingness, which I don't really think is talent as much as just being really dumb.
Right.
Like, for money, you know?
I love the whole scene where the boys ask Chef what a prostitute is, and he finally gets, like, fed up. He's all pissed off. He's like, God damn it, children, why do you always ask me all this bad stuff? Why don't you ever ask me, like, how was your day today, Chef? I don't know. I just thought that it was, like, it took him 4 seasons for him to realize that he, like, shouldn't be telling these kids this shit, so I'm like...
I like his little songs. This is still when Chef would do, like, his little songs and everything. He'd sing to the kids, and he does, like, the prostitute song and everything. Like, you don't pay her to stay, you pay her to leave.
Yeah. And I love how he's, like, obviously, like, all worried, because, like, Principal Victoria, like, he's yelling at him for, you know, for telling these kids all this inappropriate stuff, and she, like, walks in on him singing them that song. Which I loved.
And, now going to, like, the fat camp part of the episode, which is really fun.
Yeah, Shirley's crappy internet cut out again.
It did. My internet cut out. So if you're hearing like a weird ass skip and we just stopped in the middle of the sentence, it's because my internet sucks and it messed up our recording. So yeah, Fat Camp was a good episode. Do you want to move on?
Sure. This poor episode's getting shafted now because of you. Sure.
I'm sorry, my internet sucks.
Alright, the next one is... You want to say it?
Molestation Adventure.
Aired December 13th, 2000.
Boys angry at their parents send them to jail claiming they were molested, leaving down to all the children.
This is the episode that I picked as my favorite for the season. It was kind of a tie between this one and Cartman Joins NAMBLA, but I chose this one. But I love this one.
I like it because it's like it's just a total rip. It's a parody of it just rips on Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty fun. I love
yeah, this episode is full of parodies though. It has like the Children of the Corn. It has like the Kyle's dancing thing is like a parody of that Tom Cruise in that movie.
Yeah,
that whole scene. And then the Kyle's Letter to Castro thing was like the Christmas special parody.
Yes, oh my gosh. Whenever Kyle sings sad, slow songs, I just lose it. I love it. But, yeah, this probably wouldn't be in my top, but I like it. I really like it.
I love this one.
I like how freaking weird it is. Like, like all the kindergartners are just like, it reminds me of, Recess. It reminds me of the show Recess, like, from Disney Channel, like old school Disney Channel. Like, all the kindergartners back then were, like, crazy loony, like in this episode, so.
Can I just say that I think it's total bullshit that, like, Sheila and Gerald still aren't gonna let Kyle go to that concert. Like, he jumped through the loophole, but he fucking brought democracy to Cuba. Like, let him go to the concert. Puga, thanks.
She does it to me all the time, so I'm gonna make fun of her.
Yeah, check your blog.
Hush. Or, actually, do check out my blog and follow me, because I'm a loser.
Yeah, you can see me making fun of her on there.
Or just listen to us and we make fun of each other.
Yeah. I love... One of the funniest things about this episode is, like, the kids' like, bizarre language for, like, the before time and the long, long ago. And talking about...
My favorite part of this episode is definitely, like, the end, where...
yeah!
Like, you know what, maybe I should have, maybe we should have kids. She goes, oh, hell no, after this I'm getting my tubes tied tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like,
That's funny. I think that they did the whole new couple comes into town, like, better than they did in that Cow Days episode. It actually was really funny here. But anyway, like the kids' bizarre language that I think that made like the reveal at the end so much funnier because like they're talking about like birth givers, but like the parents had only been gone for like 10 days.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. This episode is like super clever. It's a clever, like pretty well written, super funny. Like, and I love how pumped Butters was to be sacrificed.
I know.
John Elway. Like the John Elway thing.
I know.
They have John Elway in the show so much.
They do.
So funny. Alright, ready to go on to the last episode?
Yes.
See, this is A Very Crappy Christmas.
Aired December 20th, 2000.
Kyle is upset when Mr. Hanky is too busy with his family to spread holiday cheer, so he and the other boys create a Christmas cartoon based on Parker and Stone's The Spirit of Christmas.
Hey, where did Mr. Hanky find another talking poo to mate with? Like...
Literally no idea, but holy crap. I love, like, the earlier season Christmas specials. Like, pretty much all of their Christmas specials are just really good episodes. I love every single Christmas South Park episode. Like, this is one of my favorites of the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
It has so many, like, weird references. Of course, they reference their own, like, the Spirit of
Yeah,
Christmas.
I love that.
Like, their, not the one that they made in college, but the one that they made for, Brian Graydon, I think his name was. But yeah, it's cool that they showed clips, and I bet people who are just, like, super casual watchers are, like, kind of like, wait, what is this?
Yeah, right?
Why'd they think to do this, you know? And they don't get the story behind it, but
Yeah.
those are, like, super dedicated.
We're like,
or
yo!
Americans, day one. They know. We know.
And I love the whole storyline where, like, the commercialism has been sucked out of Christmas is, like, actually a bad thing. And I feel like if you admit it, like, it kind of is. Because, like, Christmas is about, like, spending time with your family, but if I didn't get any gifts, I'd be kind of, like, pissed off.
Yeah, also it's like, you know, you're also giving gifts to make people happy. It's like, you know.
Yeah, for real. Exactly.
Like, I like buying people gifts. It's weird. I really love...
Yeah, me too. I get so pumped. I'm like, open mine, open mine.
Like, open my gift. I want to buy things. I'll spoil people. Like, I'm so stingy with myself, except for when it comes to, like, makeup and stuff, but, like, I'm so stingy on my money, but when I buy things for my friends, I'm like, here, I'll just take out a loan and
right?
buy you stuff. But
my favorite part of this episode was the Lion King parody song. With the fucking, like...
There's so many references. There's the Lion King, there's the Spirit of Christmas, and there's also, like, the Even a Miracle Needs a Hand. I thought that was one of their, like, original, like, songs, but it's not. Like, there's this, when they sing it, like, Kyle's face flashes into this, like, creepy ass, like, old school 60s cartoon face. Like, just search, Even a Miracle Needs a Hand, like, and it's in the, like, this really old Christmas special. So they didn't write that song, I guess. It was from this weird meta, freakishly awkward Christmas special from, like, the 70s. But yeah, one of my, definitely up there. I really like the Christmas episodes.
I love the fourth wall break of the whole Spirit of Christmas thing. And, like, the boys complaining about doing it is, like, them complaining about making South Park, which is funny.
And I also love I love how they did, like, Cartman and everything. Like, Stan ended up doing Cartman's voice. Like,
it was like Trey pretending to be Stan, pretending to be Cartman.
Exactly, because that's how they used to do Cartman's voice. Like, now they kind of do Cartman's voice how we all...
Yeah, he's a little different now.
It's not quite there. He's still kind of loud and bold and everything, and whiny. But, he used to be, like, super deep and gruff and everything. So he's in that weird transition phase, you know?
Yes. Alright, I think that's all we have for Podcasa Bonita number 4. I hope you enjoyed it. Shirley, say sorry for your internet.
Like, I'm so sorry. I really apologize. I sincerely do. Like, I hate how terrible my internet is, so if this podcast sucks, just blame it on my internet. Don't blame me personally, because I'm a big baby, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you can blame it on the internet and me being hungover.
Exactly. We both sound like shit for different reasons.
Yeah.
So.
Although, this did cheer me up, though.
For real. It didn't make the nausea go away.
Yeah, right. Alright, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.
Yes, we love you.
Or not see you, because we're on a podcast.